Hello, my young grasshoppers. We are um, going to be talking about some things with polynomials today. We're going to be doing three main operations, and that's going to be our stuff for this week. We're going to deal with addition, subtraction, and distributing. Now, you're going to notice when we do get to the actual problems that it looks very similar to what we have already done at the beginning of the year with distribute and combine like terms. Um, the difference is that these are going to have our exponent rules that we learned about. Okay. So make sure you do have a piece of paper ready to go so you can put these in with the rest of your notes. Um, and here we go. Okay. These are some of the main terminology points. Um, Polynomial. Okay. Remember poly, many. Okay. So these are things with many terms. And there's a few key ones that we're going to hit on. We're going to talk about binomial, by two, polynomial with two terms, and trinomial, tricycle, three wheels, trinomial, three terms. And those are going to be the main things that we talk about. Now, you'll hear me every once in a while talk about the degree. That deals with the exponents on them. We're not going to spend a lot of time really talking about that particular aspect of this. The main thing we want to focus on when it comes to degree is putting things in standard form. And you'll see that with some examples as we go through this. Standard form is basically putting them from the largest degree to the smallest degree. The easy way to think about it, biggest exponents to smallest exponents. Okay. As we go through, we'll discuss some more of those you hear me talk about and probably say the words binomial, trinomial, and yeah. So these are some example problems. I don't want you to write any of these down, okay? But just to kind of talk about what the different ones look like. Letter A, this one is a binomial. Notice that it's two terms. The terms, remember, we've talked about this before, they're separated by plus or minus signs. So this has the minus sign there. So it has two terms, a 6 and a -4. Okay. Letter B, this has one term, two terms, three terms. Okay. And again, they're separated by plus or minus signs. And this would be called a trinomial. A trinomial. Now, letter C, I wanted you to see this, is this would not be considered a polynomial. The reason why is that we have division of a variable here. And you can see in their example here, even when we try to simplify and split this up, we're still going to have variables in the denominator. And that makes it not a polynomial. Last but not least, this is the one we've already seen. Okay, it has one single term. This is a monomial. Okay, so I'm going to look at some example problems here. And this first one, I want you to quickly think in your head, what type of polynomial is this? Okay. This particular one would be a trinomial. There are three terms. We have the 3x squared, a positive 2y, and a positive z. Okay. For letter B, I want you to decide whether this is a polynomial. If it is, monomial, binomial, trinomial. Now, many times in this particular one, I have a lot of people that'll say, well, Mr. Lone, this is a binomial. Technically, this is not a binomial, and it's because of that negative exponent. Remember, that negative exponent means that when I simplify, I would have 1 over b squared. Okay, so since this is not a monomial itself, okay, that's not a polynomial. Okay, so this would be none. Okay, letter C. This particular one, these are good, but monomial, there's two of them, so this would be considered a binomial, and the terms would be an 8r and a -5s. And the last one here, we have 3y to the fifth. No addition or subtraction separating anything. So this would be considered a monomial. Now, that's just terminology stuff. We're not going to spend a lot of time in terms of assessing that, but you're going to hear me say those things and talk about those things. And I just want to make sure that you're hearing what that means. Okay. We're going to look at next is it's just reordering things and making sure we put them in the standard form. Okay, so standard form, I want you to write this one down. Okay, write the problem down. And we're going to write this in standard form. Got 9x squared plus 3x to the 6 minus 6x. The general rule, guys, is we're going from largest exponent to smallest exponent. Okay, so the largest exponent here is x to the 6. So I'm going to start with 3x to the 6. The next one would be x squared. So I have positive 9x squared. Make sure you do put that plus sign there. And last but not least, we have x to the first. So drop it like it's hot, minus 4x. Okay. Now, we're going to see, this is something that you're going to see me do as we go through our examples. We're going to start hitting on addition, subtraction, and the distributive property in this. So here's the first example for adding polynomials. So I want you to label this add polynomials, and I want you to write this example down. All right, here we go. Now, we're going to combine, we're going to be checking to distribute, and we're going to combine like terms. Now, for this particular one, that first parenthesis has a 1 in front of it. So remember, if I distribute a positive 1, nothing changes. The second parenthesis okay, I forgot where I was at. I had to leave for a second. Okay, the second one, this has a positive 1 in front of it. Doesn't matter when I distribute a positive 1. Nothing's going to change. So we're just going to combine our like terms. Now, you can organize it. Okay, so I have a 7y squared and a 5y squared. I'm going to add those together. So that takes care of those. I have a positive 2y and a negative 4y. And be very careful that we're making this a negative. Okay. Those are done. And then we have our constants. We have a negative 3 and we have a positive 2. And we're just going to add those up. So for the y squared, 7 plus 5 is 12. Okay. And notice, okay, I'm just adding. Okay. So it's just 12y squared. I don't mess with the exponents when I'm doing addition. Okay. 2y plus negative 4y is negative 2y. And negative 3 plus 2 is negative 1. And we have it in the correct order, okay, standard form. Let's do another one here. So I want you to go ahead and make sure you write down this example. We got 4x squared minus 2x plus 7. And we're adding a trinomial to that, 3x minus 7x squared minus 9. Okay, so again, positive 1, nothing to do. Positive 1, nothing to do. So I don't need to worry about distributing because multiplying by positive 1 will not change anything. So let's organize. I got 4x squared and I have negative 7x squared. Okay. I have a negative 2x and a positive 3x. And then I have a positive 7 and a negative 9. Let's go ahead and add these up. 4 plus negative 7 is negative 3. X squareds. Negative 2x plus 3x is positive 1x, and I'm going to write it like that. I would accept it if you put plus 1x. And 7 plus negative 9 is negative 2. And there's our polynomial in standard form. This would be considered a trinomial. A trinomial. What I want you guys to do is go ahead and pause the video and complete this problem. All right, for this one, we have our x squared, 3x squared plus negative 5x squared. We have our x's, 2x plus 3x. We have our constants, negative 1 plus 4. So I should get negative 2x squared plus 5x plus 3. Okay? So again, I want you to pause the video, and I want you to complete this problem. All right, again, these are positive ones, so we're good. And we're going to start organizing. Now I have 4x to the third. Now the weird thing is that's the only x to the third. Okay? So that's done. My x squareds, I have 2x squared and 3x squared. My x's, I have negative 1x and positive 4x. And my constants, I have 2 and negative 8. So I'm going to start with the biggest exponent. We have 4x to the third plus 5x squared plus 3x minus 6. All right, let's go ahead and start looking at subtraction. Now, it's very, very similar, but there's one little thing that you're going to have to take care of when you do these. Okay, so again, we start off. This is a positive 1, so that's good. Nothing to change there. But the second one has a negative 1 in front of it. So I have to distribute that negative 1. Negative 1 times 9y to the fourth is negative 9y to the fourth. Negative 1 times negative 7y is positive 7y. And negative 1 times 2y squared is negative 2y squared. And then what I like to do once I'm done with that, because I don't want to accidentally use these, is I'd scratch this off. Okay, and now let's combine our like terms. Y squareds, I have a 6y squared and a negative 9y squared. Y to the fourth. Let me see, I think I miswrote something. Give me 1 second here. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. So let me go back here. I apologize, guys. This is 9y to the fourth. 9y to the fourth. I wrote squared. Okay, so now let's go ahead and go back. The y squareds, 6y squared plus negative 2y squared. Those are gone. Now my y to the fourth, make sure I don't see this. Y to the fourth, I have 8y to the fourth and negative 9y to the fourth. Now I like to put it above there. That way it helps me remember that I need to write that one first. And then I have negative 5y plus 7y. Now let's just go ahead and add these up. So I have negative 1y to the fourth, positive 4y squared, and I add up my y squareds, and positive 2y. Okay, so the only difference between the subtraction and the addition ones is I have to distribute that negative 1. Let's do one more of these for our notes. Okay, we got 6n to the second plus 11n to the third plus 2n. That's a trinomial. And we're subtracting another trinomial from that, 4n minus 3 plus 5n squared. Okay, so 1, that's good. Negative 1, I have to distribute. So I'm going to distribute that negative 1. Negative 1 times 4n is negative 4n. Negative 1 times negative 3 is positive 3. Negative 1 times 5n squared is negative 5n squared. And this is done. Now let's combine our like terms. Now, I have 6n squared. That goes with negative 5n squared. I have 11n to the third. That's the only one of its kind. And I have positive 2n. That goes with negative 4n. And then one thing you got to make sure of is you don't forget this plus 3. I've seen that happen plenty of times on quizzes and tests. Let's go ahead and add these up. So I got 11 n to the third. And we got to start with the biggest exponent. Be positive 1n squared. We have negative 2n plus 3. Okay, now we're gonna have you guys try a couple of these. Go ahead and pause the video, and I want you to try this problem. Okay, I need to distribute my negative 1. So I'm going to have negative 1x squared, negative 5x to the third, positive 2x to the fourth. Okay, and let's go ahead and organize. So I have my 3x to the third goes with negative 5x to the third. My 2x squared goes with negative 1x squared. And then my negative 1x to the fourth goes with 2x to the fourth. So add these up. Negative 1x to the fourth plus 2x to the fourth. That is negative. That's going to be positive 1x to the fourth. 3x to the third plus negative 5x to the third is negative 2x to the third. And we got 2x squared plus negative 1x squared. That would be positive 1x squared. And there's my answer. It's a trinomial. Okay, go ahead and pause the video again. I want you to try this problem. Okay, first one is good. Second one, I got to distribute that negative 1. So it's going to be negative 6y to the fourth, negative 5y to the third, and negative 9. Don't need that anymore. And let's organize and get our like terms put together. So y to the fourth go together. Y squared that's the only one of its kind. Then I have this negative 5y to the third I had noticed over here. And then I have my constants, negative 2 plus negative 9. Now it's real important that you didn't accidentally put your y to the third and your y squared together. And if you're not really paying attention, that is something that's very easy to do. So let's add these up. That's going to give me 2y to the fourth, negative 5y to the third, plus 3y squared. Then negative 2 plus negative 9 is negative 11. Okay. All right, our next part is distributing. Oh, yeah. Now, what we have to remember when we're doing this is we're going to do multiplications. And we have to remember, when you multiply same bases, you have to add exponents. Okay, so for this particular one, we have 6y to the first. So 6y to the first times 4y squared. 24y to the third. You've got to remember to add the exponents. 6y to the first times negative 9y to the first. This would be negative 54 y squared. And then we have 6y to the first times negative 7. Be negative 42y. And that's it. There's no like terms, so I'm finished. Okay. I want you guys to go ahead and try this one on your own. It's 3x to the first. So remember, when I'm multiplying, I add exponents. So I have 3 different multiplications to do. 3x to the first times 2x squared. 3 times 2 is 6. X times x squared is x to the third. 3x times 3x. 3 times 3 is 9. X to the first times x to the first is x squared. And lastly, 3x times 5, it'd be 15x. And I'm done. No like terms. The very last type, okay, is kind of putting distributive property mixed in with also having some like terms to add, okay? So the thing that you have to do on this type of a problem is you have to take it one piece at a time. So let's go ahead and write this down. And we're going to take this part first. And that's one distributive part that we need to take care of. So let's go ahead and take care of that. 3 times 2t squared, that would be 6t squared. 3 times negative 4t is negative 12t. And 3 times negative 15 is negative 45. Now I go to the second one. Okay. Oh, that's a little hard to see. Let me go back to black. Now this one, I'm distributing the 6t. So 6t times 5t. 6 times 5 is 30. Remember, t times t, t the first times t the first, that's t squared. 6t times 2 be positive 12t. And now the difference between this one and just a straight distribute is we have to look for like terms. So now I'm going to organize this. I have my t squareds I'm going to add up. So 6t squared plus 30t squared. I have my t's I'm going to add up. So I got negative 12t plus 12t. And then I have my negative 45. Okay, let's go ahead and add these up. 6t squared plus 30t squared. Remember, we're adding. You don't mess with exponents when you add. That's going to be, ooh. Hold on a second. There we go. Lost my pen there for a second. 36t squared. Now, negative 12t plus 12t is 0. So it's gone. Do not write 0t. It's just gone. And I got minus 45. And I'm finished. Finito. Done. Okay, last one. I'm going to go ahead and go through this, but if you want to try it first, go ahead and pause the video, okay, and go ahead and give this one an attempt. All right, I'm going to do this first part. That's my first distributive property problem. So I got 5 times 4y squared. It's 20y squared. 5 times 5y is 25y. And 5 times negative 2 is negative 10. My second distribute part is this one. And always pay attention to whether this is positive or negative, just like we used to. So 2y times 4y. 2 times 4 is 8. And remember, y times y, you got to remember to add those exponents when you multiply. It'll be y squared. 2y times 3 is 6y. And now we're going to add up our like terms. Our y squareds go together. Our y's go together. And don't forget about the negative 10. Okay. So we have 20y squared plus 8y squared. It's going to be 28y squared. Don't mess with the exponents. We're adding now. 25y plus 6y is 31y minus 10. Okay. All right. So that's the end of our lesson for today. Now we're going to do a few sets here. So let's go ahead and do these. This is first some addition. So go ahead and pause the video and try these 4 problems. Now I'm going to go a little quicker through these answers. Okay, so I'm not going to go through that organizing step. I'm going to kind of show you a little alternate way. So we got our n to the fourths. So it'd be 7 n to the fourth when I add those. My n to the thirds, I got 5 plus -7. That's -2 n to the third. And then we have our constants. 7 plus 4 is 11. The second one, we have our a to the thirds. 5 plus 5 is 10. We have our a squareds. 2 plus 8 is 10. And then we have our constants. 2 plus 5 is 7. Okay. For number 3, we have our x to the fourths. 4 plus 2 is 6. Now, we only have one of these x to the thirds, so drop it like it's hot. And we only have one of these x squareds, so drop it like it's hot. And then my x's, 2x plus -7x is -5x. Last addition problem here. My v to the fourths, -8 plus 3 is -5. My v to the third, that's the only one, so drop it like it's hot. My v squareds, -5 plus 2 is -3. And the many times forgotten constant sitting there, 3. Don't forget about it. Drop it like it's hot. It's the only one there. Okay, and those are our 4 answers. All right, I'd like you to go ahead and pause the video and try these 4 subtraction problems. Okay, the second one. Okay, number 5 here. Need to distribute the -1 on the second one. So I get -7, positive 3k squared, and -8k to the fourth. And now I'm going to add up my like terms. My x to the fourth, 6 plus -8 is -2. Oh, sorry, that's a k, not an x. Excuse me. My k squareds, -3 plus 3 is 0. So those are just gone. And 7 plus -7 is 0. Those are just gone. There's my answer. Okay, again, distribute the -1. So it's going to be -5n, -1n squared, positive 1n to the fourth. And these are basically gone. And we start organizing here. 1n to the fourth plus 1n to the fourth is almost put plus 2. There's 2n to the fourth. Okay, so the n to the fourths are done. My n squareds, 8 plus -1 is 7. And my n's, 5n plus -5n is 0. So those are gone. And that's my answer. Okay, number 7. Again, distribute that -1. So I got -4, positive 4m to the third, and -5m. I don't need this anymore. And then we organize. My m to the thirds, 4 plus 4 is 8. That is the only m squared, so drop it like it's hot. My m's, 8m plus -5m is 3m. And then don't forget about this -4. Drop it like it's hot. And that would be my final answer. Last one here, number 8. Distribute the -1. So I get -3, positive k to the third, and -3k to the fourth. Don't need this. We need to start combining our like terms. K to the fourths. 5 plus -3 is 2. My k to the thirds, 7 plus 1 is 8. And then we have our constants. Negative 4 plus negative 3 is negative 7. Okay. Last set, some distributing. Okay. If you please pause the video and complete these 4 problems. Okay, so distribute. It's going to be 18n squared minus 18n. Done. For number 10, distribute. Negative 4 x a third times 6x squared. 4 times 6 is 24. Don't forget to add your exponents when you multiply. It's a 5, by the way. 4x a third times negative 7x. 4 times negative 7 is negative 28. X to the third times x to the first is x to the fourth. And then 4x to the third times negative 8 is negative 32. X to the third. Now these last two, remember you're going to distribute and then go ahead and combine like terms. So distribute is going to be 12p plus 8p squared. Don't forget when you're multiplying p's to add the exponents. Okay, this is a positive 3p, so 3p times 4 is 12p. 3p times negative 3p is negative 9p squared. And then we combine our like terms. The p squareds, 8 plus negative 9 is negative 1. And 12 plus 12 is 24. Number 12, distribute the 3. So it'd be 12x to the third plus 3x squared plus 6x. Now, this one, you better be very careful that you multiply this correctly. That is a negative 5x. Negative 5x times x squared is negative 5x to the third. Don't forget when you multiply x's, you have to add exponents. Negative 5x times 7x would be negative 35x squared. And then we can combine our like terms. The x to the thirds, 12 plus negative 5 is 7. The x squareds, 3 plus negative 35 is negative 32. And then drop it like it's hot. Okay. The only thing you have left to do for this week is there is an assignment on Kami. Okay. So go ahead and make sure that you complete that assignment on Kami. And then you'll click Turn In on Google Classroom. Please make sure that you click Turn In. That way that particular assignment gets shown and turned into me. If you need to go back and rewatch different parts of the video, rewatch them as you're going through the worksheet. And we'll continue with some of this next week. All right. You guys have a wonderful day.